Genesis 35. And God said to Jacob, "Go up now to Bethel, and make your living place there, and put up an altar there, to the God who came to you when you were in flight from your brother Esau." Then Jacob said to all his people, "Put away the strange gods, which are among you, and make yourselves clean, and put on a change of clothing, and let us go up to Bethel, and there I will make an altar to God, who gave me an answer in the day of my trouble, and was with me wherever I went." Then they gave to Jacob all the strange gods which they had, and the rings which were in their ears, and Jacob put them away under the holy tree at Shechem. So they went on their journey, and the fear of God was on the towns round about, so that they made no attack on the sons of Jacob. And Jacob came to Luz, in the land of Canaan, which is the same as Bethel, he and all his people. And there he made an altar, naming the place El Bethel, because it was there he had the vision of God, when he was in flight from his brother. And Deborah, the servant who had taken care of Rebekah from her birth, came to her end, and was put to rest near Bethel, under the holy tree, and they gave it the name of Alan-Bakuth. Now, when Jacob was on his way from Paddan Aram, God came to him again, and, blessing him, said, "Jacob is your name, but it will be so no longer. From now, your name will be Israel." So he was named Israel. And God said to him, "I am God, the ruler of all. Be ye fertile, and have increase. A nation, truly a group of nations, will come from you, and kings will be your offspring. And the land which I gave to Abraham and Isaac, I will give to you, and to your seed after you, I will give the land." Then God went up from him in the place where he had been talking with him. And Jacob put up a pillar in the place where he had been talking with God, and put a drink offering on it, and oil. And he gave to the place where God had been talking with him the name of Bethel. So they went on from Bethel, and while they were still some distance from Ephrat, the pains of birth came on Rachel, and she had a hard time. And when her pain was very great, the woman who was helping her said, "Have no fear, for now you will have another son." And in the hour when her life went from her, for death came to her, she gave the child the name Benoni, but his father gave him the name of Benjamin. So Rachel came to her end, and was put to rest on the road to Ephrat, which is Bethlehem. And Jacob put up a pillar on her resting place, which is named the pillar of the resting place of Rachel, to this day. And Israel went journeying on, and put up his tents on the other side of the tower of the flock. Now, while they were living in that country, Reuben had connection with Bilhah, his father's servant woman, and Israel had news of it. Now, Jacob had 12 sons, the sons of Leah, Reuben, Jacob's first son, and Simeon, and Levi, and Judah, and Issachar, and Zebulun, the sons of Rachel, Joseph, and Benjamin, the sons of Bilhah, Rachel's servant, Dan and Naphtali, the sons of Zilpah, Leah's servant, Gad and Asher. These are the sons whom Jacob had in Paddan Aram. And Jacob came to his father, Isaac, at Mamre, at Kiriath Arba, that is, Hebron, where Abraham and Isaac had been living. And Isaac was 180 years old. Then Isaac came to his end, and was put to rest with his father's people, an old man after a long life, and Jacob and Esau, his sons, put him in his last resting place. Genesis 36. Now, these are the generations of Esau, that is to say, Edom. Esau's wives were women of Canaan: Adah, the daughter of Elon, the Hittite, and Aholibamah, the daughter of Anah, the daughter of Zibeon, the Hivite, and Basemath, Ishmael's daughter, the sister of Nehiot. Adah had a son, Eliphaz, and Basemath was the mother of Reuel. Aholibamah was the mother of Jeush, Jalem, and Korah. These are the sons of Esau, whose birth took place in the land of Canaan. Esau took his wives, and his sons, and his daughters, and all the people of his house, and his beasts, and his cattle, and all his goods, which he had got together, in the land of Canaan, and went into the land of Seir, away from his brother, Jacob. For their wealth was so great, that the land was not wide enough for the two of them and all their cattle. So, Esau made his living place in the hill country of Seir. Esau is Edom. And these are the generations of Esau, the father of the Edomites, in the hill country of Seir. These are the names of Esau's sons: Eliphaz, the son of Esau's wife, Adah, and Reuel, the son of Esau's wife, Basemath. The sons of Eliphaz were Teman, Omar, Zepho, Gatam, and Kenaz. And Eliphaz, the son of Esau, had connection with a woman named Timnah, who gave birth to Amalek. All these were the children of Esau's wife, Adah. And these are the sons of Reuel: Nahath, Zerah, Shammah, and Mizah. They were the children of Esau's wife, Basemath. And these are the sons of Esau's wife, Aholibamah, the daughter of Anah, the daughter of Zibeon. She was the mother of Jeush, Jalem, and Korah. These were the chiefs among the sons of Esau, the sons of Eliphaz, Esau's first son: Teman, Omar, Zepho, Kenaz, Korah, Gatam, Amalek. All these were chiefs in the land of Edom, the offspring of Eliphaz, the seed of Adah. And these are the sons of Esau's son, Reuel: Nahath, Zerah, Shammah, and Mizah. These were the chiefs of Reuel, in the land of Edom, the children of Esau's wife, Basemath. And these are the sons of Esau's wife, Aholibamah, Jeush, Jalem, and Korah. These were the chiefs who came from Esau's wife, Aholibamah, daughter of Anah. These were the sons of Esau, that is, Edom, and these were their chiefs. These are the sons of Seir, the Horite, who were living in that country: Lotan, Shobal, Zibeon, Anah, Dishan, Ezer, and Dishan. These are the chiefs of the Horites, offspring of Seir, in the land of Edom. The children of Lotan were Hori and Temam. Lotan's sister was Timnah. And these are the children of Shobal: Alvan, Manahath, Ebal, Shepho, and Onam. And these are the children of Zibeon, Aya and Anah, that same Anah, who made the discovery of the water springs in the wasteland, when he was looking after the asses of his father Zibeon. And these are the children of Anah, Dishan and Aholibamah, his daughter. These are the children of Dishan: Hemdan, Eshban, Ithran, and Karan. These are the children of Ezer: Bilhan, Zavin, and Arkan. These are the children of Dishan: Uz and Aaron. These were the Horite chiefs: Lotan, Shobal, Zibeon, Anah, Dishan, Ezer, and Dishan. Such were the Horite chiefs, in their order, in the land of Seir. And these are the kings, who were ruling in the land of Edom, before there was any king over the children of Israel. Bela, son of Beor, was king in Edom, and the name of his chief town was Dinhabah. At his death, Jobab, son of Zerah of Bozrah, became king in his place. And at the death of Jobab, Husham, from the country of the Temanites, became king in his place. And at the death of Husham, Hadad, son of Bedad, who overcame the Midianites in the field of Moab, became king. His chief town was named Avith. And at the death of Hadad, Samlah of Masrekah became king. And at the death of Samlah, Shaul of Rehoboth by the river, became king in his place. And at the death of Shaul, Baal-Hanan, son of Achbor, became king. And at the death of Baal-Hanan, Hadad became king in his place. His chief town was named Por, and his wife's name was Mehetabel. She was the daughter of Matred, the daughter of Mezahab. These are the names of the chiefs of Esau in the order of their families and their places: Timnah, Alva, Jetheth, Aholibamah, Ela, Pinon, Kenaz, Teman, Mibsar, Magdiel, and Iram. These are the Edomite chiefs, in their places, in their heritage. This is Esau, the father of the Edomites. Genesis 37. Now, Jacob was living in the land where his father had made a place for himself, in the land of Canaan. These are the generations of Jacob. Joseph, a boy, 17 years old, was looking after the flock, together with his brothers, the sons of Bilhah and Zilpah, his father's wives, and Joseph gave their father a bad account of them. Now the love which Israel had for Joseph was greater than his love for all his other children, because he got him when he was an old man, and he had a long coat made for him. And because his brothers saw that Joseph was dearer to his father than all the others, they were full of hate for him, and would not say a kind word to him. Now Joseph had a dream, and he gave his brothers an account of it, which made their hate greater than ever. And he said to them, "Let me give you the story of my dream. We were in the field, getting the grain stems together, and my grain kept upright, and yours came round, and went down on the earth before mine." And his brothers said to him, "Are you to be our king? Will you have authority over us?" And, because of his dream, and his words, their hate for him became greater than ever. Then he had another dream, and gave his brothers an account of it, saying, "I have had another dream. The sun, and the moon, and 11 stars, gave honor to me." And he gave word of it to his father, and his brothers, but his father, protesting, said, "What sort of a dream is this? Am I and your mother, and your brothers, to go down on our faces to the earth before you?" And his brothers were full of envy, but his father kept his words in mind. Now his brothers went to keep watch over their father's flock in Shechem. And Israel said to Joseph, "Are not your brothers with the flock in Shechem? Come, I will send you to them." And he said to him, "Here am I." And he said to him, "Go now, and see if your brothers are well, and how the flock is, then come back, and give me word." So he sent him out of the valley of Hebron, and he came to Shechem. And a man saw him wandering in the country, and said to him, "What are you looking for?" And he said, "I am looking for my brothers. Please give me word of where they are keeping their flock." And the man said, "They have gone away from here, for they said in my hearing, 'Let us go to Dothan.'" So Joseph went after them, and came up with them at Dothan. But they saw him when he was a long way off, and before he came near them, they made a secret design against him to put him to death, saying to one another, "See, here comes this dreamer. Let us now put him to death, and put his body into one of these holes, and we will say, 'An evil beast has put him to death.' Then we will see what becomes of his dreams." But Reuben, hearing these words, got him out of their hands, saying, "Let us not take his life. Do not put him to a violent death, but let him be placed in one of the holes." This, he said, to keep him safe from their hands, with the purpose of taking him back to his father again. So when Joseph came to his brothers, they took off his long coat which he had on, and they took him, and put him in the hole. Now, the hole had no water in it. Then seating themselves, they took their meal, and looking up, they saw a traveling band of Ishmaelites, coming from Gilead, on their way to Egypt, with spices and perfumes on their camels. And Judah said to his brothers, "What profit is there in putting our brother to death, and covering up his blood? Let us give him to these Ishmaelites, for a price, and let us not put violent hands on him, for he is our brother, our flesh." And his brothers gave ear to him. And some traders from Midian went by, so pulling Joseph up out of the hole, they gave him to the Ishmaelites, for 20 bits of silver, and they took him to Egypt. Now, when Reuben came back to the hole, Joseph was not there, and giving signs of grief, he went back to his brothers, and said, "The child is gone, what am I to do?" Then they took Joseph's coat, and put on it some of the blood from a young goat, which they had put to death, and they took the coat to their father, and said, "We came across this, is it your son's coat or not?" And he saw that it was, and said, "It is my son's coat, an evil beast has put him to death, without doubt, Joseph has come to a cruel end." Then Jacob, giving signs of grief, put on haircloth, and went on weeping for his son, day after day. And all his sons, and all his daughters, came to give him comfort, but he would not be comforted, saying with weeping, "I will go down to the underworld to my son." So great was his father's sorrow for him. And in Egypt, the men of Midian gave him, for a price, to Potiphar, a captain of high position in Pharaoh's house. Genesis 38. Now, at that time, Judah went away from his brothers, and became the friend of a man of Adullam, named Hirah. And there, he saw the daughter of a certain man of Canaan, named Shua, and took her as his wife. And she gave birth to a son, and he gave him the name, And again, she gave birth to a son, and he gave him the name, Onan. Then she had another son, to whom she gave the name, Shelah. She was at Kizah when the birth took place. And Judah took a wife for his first son, and her name was Tamar. Now Judah's first son, did evil in the eyes of the Lord, so that he put him to death. Then Judah said to Onan, Go into your brother's wife, and do what it is right for a husband's brother to do, make her your wife, and get offspring for your brother. But Onan, seeing that the offspring would not be his, went into his brother's wife, but let his seed go on to the earth, so that he might not get offspring for his brother. And what he did was evil in the eyes of the Lord, so that he put him to death, like his brother. Then Judah said to Tamar, his daughter-in-law, Go back to your father's house, and keep yourself as a widow, till my son, Shelah, becomes a man, for he had in his mind the thought that death might come to him, as it had come to his brothers. So Tamar went back to her father's house. And after a time, Bathshua, Judah's wife, came to her end, and after Judah was comforted for her loss, he went to Timnah, where they were cutting the wool of his sheep, and his friend, Hirah of Adullam, went with him. And when Tamar had news that her father-in-law was going up to Timnah to the wool cutting, she took off her widow's clothing, and covering herself with her veil, she took her seat near Enaim, on the road to Timnah, for she saw that Shelah was now a man, but she had not been made his wife. When Judah saw her, he took her to be a loose woman of the town, because her face was covered. And turning to her by the roadside, he said to her, Let me come in to you, for he had no idea that she was his daughter-in-law. And she said, What will you give me as my price? And he said, I will give you a young goat from the flock. And she said, What will you give me as a sign, till you send it? And he said, What would you have? And she said, Your ring, and its cord, and the stick in your hand. So he gave them to her, and went into her, and she became with child by him. Then she got up, and went away, and took off her veil, and put on her widow's clothing. Then Judah sent his friend, Hirah, with the young goat, to get back the things which he had given as a sign to the woman, but she was not there. And he put questions to the men of the place, saying, Where is the loose woman who was in Enaim by the wayside? And they said, There was no such woman there. So he went back to Judah, and said, I have not seen her, and the men of the place say that there is no such woman there. And Judah said, Let her keep the things, so that we may not be shamed. I sent the young goat, but you did not see the woman. Now, about 3 months after this, word came to Judah that Tamar, his daughter-in-law, had been acting like a loose woman, and was with child. And Judah said, Take her out, and let her be burned. And, while she was being taken out, she sent word to her father-in-law, saying, The man whose property these things are, is the father of my child. Say then, Whose are this ring, and this cord, and this stick? Then Judah said openly, that they were his, and said, She is more upright than I am, for I did not give her to Shelah, my son. And he had no more connection with her. And, when the time came for her to give birth, it was clear that there were 2 children in her body. And while she was in the act of giving birth, one of them put out his hand, and the woman who was with her, put a red thread round his hand, saying, This one came out first. But then he took his hand back again, and his brother came first to birth, and the woman said, What an opening you have made for yourself. So he was named Perez. And then his brother came out, with the red thread round his hand, and he was named Zerah.